So we talk about Asta's swords a lot on this channel when it comes to explain videos or theories, potential power-ups. Asta's anti-magic swords just have a uniqueness about them that you can just talk about the swords hours on end. But it's one sword that I feel as though that can be easily overlooked because of the coolness of the Demon Dweller sword and the Demon Destroyer sword, because they have amazing designs and they have cool feats. Asta used those swords for the most part. And that is the Demon Destroyer sword, also known as a Demon Annihilating sword, but Demon Destroyer sword is more universal. So yeah, let's go with that. So today in this video, I'm going to be discussing the power of the Demon Destroyer sword and also potential power of it and the importance of the sword. So, our first time seeing this sword was in chapter 156 in the Ida Midnight Sun floating dungeon in the Gravito Rock Zone. We see how Licht used the swords, but it really wasn't anything special about it. He was mainly using it as for defense or just slicing through someone's spells. But we did not see him use any kind of ability with the Demon Destroyer sword. He was mainly utilizing the Demon Dweller sword and showing off the potential power it has against Asta and Yuno. Which currently in the manga, Asta still cannot use the Demon Dweller sword the way that Licht used his to his full degree currently in the manga, but that is okay because he is getting better. We did see during the battle that Asta managed to take away the sword during the climax of the fight and then went inside his grimoire after the fight was done, so we knew we were going to expect great things from this sword later on. Then the sword reappeared in chapter 159, but one thing I love about the anime when this happened, and this was an anime exclusive moment, when he grabbed the sword he seen everything that happened from 500 years ago, but just in a small glimpse. This never happened when Asta grabbed the other swords. Then we seen the sword's ability, how it was able to remove all of the poison from everyone that was in Hanch village, a spell from a mage who was elf possessed. And then we seen the sword was so strong that it was able to cancel out reincarnation magic, sending one's soul back into the afterlife. From that point on, from the story, from reading it or watching that part in the anime, we knew that this would be the key to save all of the magic knights who were under the reincarnation spell, who were elf possessed. I remember my first time seeing this sword's capability. It was in the anime before I was caught up on the manga at the time, and I was just thinking to myself that wow, this sword low-key is overpowered. Asta was having a real hard time just to wield it, and one thing to point out, he did mention that this sword anti-magic flow is way beyond the other swords. Asta always mentioned that this sword is a wild one, and the cool thing about this sword designs and the abilities is that right after it absorbs and negates the power of a certain spell, all that anti-magic flow goes right back into the sword and makes the sword completely black. And then you see this cool little Clover symbol that appears on the sword as well. And I think the symbols on the sword definitely represent something for a reason. And I will say that for a different topic. If you ever been on Discord call with me, you heard me talk about this theory a lot. So you know exactly what I mean. Another cool little power about this sword that we learned in chapter 164 is that Asta's Demon Destroyer sword is very sensitive to strong magic. Asta explained that to Luck, and he said that this sword will follow you wherever you go. Even though we know that that is a trope of the anti-magic ability, we know that it is able to follow strong magic, but for Asta to emphasize on this specific sword says a lot, especially given the fact that he already explained that this sword's anti-magic flow is stronger than the others. Another awesome thing about this sword is that Asta is also able to connect to another person's soul, and he can read their emotion. He can tell that this was a bad person or a good person, just like he was able to tell the elf that was possessing Luck was a great person. I do love that aspect about the sword, and that's something I will touch upon more later in the video. Now, throughout the arc, we see how Asta was learning how to control this ability of the sword to a higher degree, and we see how Asta was able to utilize this more in chapter 186 when he pretty much negated Marie's eye magic that had everyone paralyzed. If this wasn't the case, Marie would have clapped all of the black bulls right here. Which is why I believe when Marie gets a little older and gets her grimoire, she's going to be a huge problem. The more we see Asta use this sword later in the arc when he saved Dark Elf Patri, he was able to see his past and all of his inner despair, and we've seen how he was able to see the death of Julius. That's why he was one of the only few that knew about this. I just find it amazing that this ability that Asta has with this sword is not only giving him the power to separate one's soul and send them back to the afterlife, but also enter one's soul and talk to them directly. I feel like that ability is so overlooked because this can be used later on in different arcs. And this sword is compatible with a lot of different spells if it's used right, depending on the magic attribute. And we see how William's War Tree magic was compatible with the Demon Dweller sword's magic when Licht and William used a combo spell of Spirit Light Tree that bind the souls of the elves, ready to send them to the afterlife. And the moment that Asta used his Demon Destroyer sword to strike the tree, that's when the spell was completed. Now, looking back at this moment, it does make me think that the way that the Dark Triad are trying to make the Tree of Cliffcloth, the Tree of Death, trying to summon the souls of devils into the real world, this sword could be his kryptonite, but Asta has to be careful because he's not dealing with L's reincarnation spell, he's dealing with actual souls of devils. And if this happens, this will be very dangerous because not only will he be entering the minds or knowing the feelings of devils, but he'll also be speaking with them, just like how he spoke with Patri. And Patri's despair was deep, so just imagine a devil's despair. That will be on a whole different level. Asta has not used this spell yet in the battle against Dante. And I think that if Dante finds out about this spell that he uses with this Demon Destroyer sword, it will be a huge problem. And I think that Dante would think to get rid of Asta immediately, because he will view the Demon Destroyer sword as a roadblock that will get in his way, that will compromise his whole entire plan. So this could lead into Asta's quote-unquote death that Julius has predicted, because back in chapter 189, when Ghost was elf-possessed, referring to his Demon Destroyer sword, he said, "A convenient power that can make it as if nothing ever happened, for free. Do you think that exists? Actions come with consequences. There's no getting around that. If you remember nothing else, keep that in mind, human." And I think that is definitely something that can lead into the consequence of using this sword, that can lead into Asta's death, because this sword will be the one that will stop Dante's and everyone else's plan for the Tree of Death. But that's just a quick little theory in this video. Now, as far as combat, we've seen many ways of the Demon Slayer sword utilizing its ability. We've seen how it can create Black Divider, and we've seen that the sword is getting bigger more that Asta uses anti-magic flow. Now it can literally split the sky, and it also can track someone down when we seen him fighting Dante. Asta was just swinging the sword and the anti-magic energy was chasing down Dante, and Asta didn't even have to be near him. We also seen in that fight that the Demon Dweller sword was like literally a black anti-magic whip. We also seen in chapter 230 when he was fighting the Spade Kingdom soldiers in this Grand Magic Zone in the Magic Fortress, he used his Demon Dweller sword Black Slash, a new spell that gave Asta the ability to use long range attacks. And we also seen during that chapter he used Causality Break of his Demon Destroyer sword, removing the poison of one of the captains that tried to poison him. The versatility of this sword is just insane. We've seen how he was able to just negate Dante's scale magic like it was nothing. Like, this sword is not heavy when it comes to attack based powers, but I believe this sword is more of a support class. It may not have all the amazing, pleasing visual feats of the other sword's powers, but I believe this one could be the most powerful one and the most important one. Because there are certain spells in the Black Clover verse that no one can get rid of. They just have to take the L. And I believe that if Asta stayed in the Heart Kingdom during the battle when Vanica showed up fighting everyone, and she used her devil powers, her curse warding magic, and used Decaying World, that spell is very overpowered, but it wouldn't work if Asta used his Causality Break spell from his Demon Destroyer sword. It would have completely erased and absorbed that entire spell completely. So it's a good thing Asta wasn't there, because that would have been a huge loss in the Dark Triad side if he was. So Vanica is lucky. I truly believe that there is more than meets the eye to the power of this sword that we still haven't seen yet, because this is the most mysterious one. It's the one that Asta rarely uses, because this sword is very situational, while the other swords are more versatile when it comes to combat. So I truly hope that we see more of this sword later in this Spade Kingdom War arc, because this sword can be easily forgotten because Asta really doesn't use it that much. So I hope later in this arc he uses it a lot more. But that's my thoughts on that. You guys comment below and tell me what you think about this. Do you believe that this is the strongest sword that Asta has, or do you see any other capabilities that this sword can use that we haven't seen yet? So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content with notification bells on. Join my Discord, link in the description. Follow me on Twitter, that's in the description as well. So again, like, comment, subscribe. You guys take care of yourself, have an awesome life, and I'm out.